Yeah. Yeah. My come and never sleep on me. Eyes on my chain, 숙여 너의 고개를 what you looking at fool. 너의 눈 허리 멍청했고 find your comfort from another yeah. I go low like undercover yeah. Wanna know my name 죽지 않은 일은 위에 부어버려 기름 yes. You can't even guess me cause I'm baby high low로 확실해 not like maybe yeah. Baby let me welcome to my palace 찾지 않아 Alice you just keep on wonder You just keep on wonder 찾지 않아 Alice but 너의 memory I just pop a bin Danny how you been 나는 걸어 Boeing 747 날 get weak get ready Like I wanna get late 준비해 빨리 we ain't got a lot of time man wavy night Jameson hit the rock bottom 잃어버린 정신머리들 yeah got 'em yeah shot 'em 모든 problems 언제까지 기다려야 할래 now gone yeah
Hey there, we are back on another exciting lunch break working on the El Camino where we are not getting consistent spark. One thing I haven't done, which is a fairly easy test, is to actually check the resistance on the coil. Obviously, if we have too much, well, that may cause problems. So we got our multimeter here. We're gonna sit on the little horseshoe. Yep, we're gonna measure how many horseshoes of resistance this coil has. So let's see. I believe we're gonna check. Let's do power positive to negative. Check it across primary, I believe that is. Don't quote me, guys. I could be wrong. And let's see, what are we getting? We're gonna say 2.2. Yep, 2.2. All right, and then let's check. I think this is the primary, and again, I may have them backwards, but from the center pole over to negative. And what do we have here? Just about 11, 10.97 horseshoes. Okay, well, let's see what the spec is supposed to be for horseshoes on a GM ignition coil, and we'll see if we're either in spec or out of spec. Be back. Alright, so I did a little checking and I'm going to test again. Apparently, maybe I should have had all my wires disconnected. Just testing the coil itself, that way I'm not getting any inaccurate readings from the rest of the vehicle. We'll see if it makes a difference. So I've got a set again on horseshoes, and I do realize earlier I said primary for both, so obviously that was incorrect. But we're gonna go down on top of the center tower. We'll go to negative here. Did it make a difference? It actually did. We're right at 11. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe anywhere between like 11 and 12 is good for that side. Let's check the other side of the circuit. Let's see what that shows. And that's still fairly close. We're at 2.1. Before we were saying like 2.2, so it didn't make a huge difference. But I figured I would back real quick and check it again, let you guys see what the difference may or may not have been with all the wires disconnected for the amount of horseshoes we got on that time. So let's go back and do some research to see again if we're all within spec, at least for resistance, and we'll be back. So we'll come to the conclusion that maybe I'm still not getting enough power consistently. Maybe I've been cranking too much, and you know, it looks like it was dropping down to like 9 volts on the at the coil when cranking, and from what I understand it should be at 12. So I, even though in a previous video we saw that I hooked the battery charger up to it and I said it was broke, it did nothing, I'd try it again, and yes, it is still broke, it did nothing, right? So I decided to take it apart. Took it apart. By take it apart, I just mean I unscrewed it a little bit. And what did I find? Look, these are the leads that hook to the battery. It comes through here, and well, it can't charge very well if it's not connected. So yeah, that could be a problem. I'm gonna go ahead and fix that. Get at least the charger fixed, and then we'll put some more juice to the El Camino, charge this battery up, and see what I get from there. Alright, so here we are still messing with the no spark, or not really no spark, but a lack of consistent good spark. So what do you do when you don't know what you're doing, or maybe you just want a little extra help? Well, you phone a friend, and that's exactly what I did. I phoned a friend maybe a little bit older than me, but maybe knows a little bit more about these older, more simple systems, which simple they should be, and apparently not too simple for me to grasp anyhow. So I called an old friend, Daryl. He used to be a lead tech at a shop I used to work at, and he told me that, from what I'm explaining anyhow, that that doodad right there, the lightning producer, the ignition coil itself, is probably bad. So being as fairly inexpensive as they are, since we're going to stay with the traditional points setup right now, we went ahead and bought a new coil, and we're going to install that right now, and let's see what happens with a new coil on there. Alright, we got the new coil in there. Of course, it's super simple, no reason to show you guys that. And we're going to check to see what the spark looks like, just straight from the coil, right to the spark plug. We're going to see what happens with that. Let's try this with the cap and rotor and everything hooked up the way it's supposed to be, straight through, and see what happens. Absolutely nothing. Why? Am I missing the ground? Let's see. So I got the coil replaced. I did a couple checks, and as you saw, I did get spark finally. I got consistent, well, say consistent spark. I couldn't get consistent spark. So I thought about it for a little bit, guys, and what I decided to check was, well, let's just recheck some of the stuff that I'd put in there, like the distributor. Did I put it in all the way? Or, excuse me, did I put it in the right way? You guys, I didn't film any of that, so apologize for any of that. Not super fun to watch, but I pulled it out. And then, of course, which it's not there right now, but I set the mark down there on the dampener to 0, right? And then I pulled my cap off, which it's back on. And then, of course, from there, which I don't have them mounted yet, I lifted up the valve cover and looked at my valves to And to my surprise, both valves were closed and my rotor was 180 out. It was actually way off, which kind of makes sense to why I could get spark from the coil to the plug, but not out of the cap to the spark plug. Because essentially when it was firing into the cap through the rotor was not pointing at anything. So I had no spark. I fixed it. And it's set in time, at least a lot closer than it was. And I have got it to where I'm ready to put things back together. But we're going to attempt to crank this, see if we can get it to sound like it's going to bust off, and then we'll start assembling everything else along with all the vacuum and some of the other electrical stuff. It's going to be fun. It wants to start.